likely it'll be the top of thunderstorms, right? So the radar itself will be deployed on one of two aircraft, either the ER-2, which is a manned aircraft, has one pilot in there. It's basically an engine with wings. That's a really high altitude aircraft, gets up to 22 kilometers in the atmosphere. And with that, we can fly right over the top of a thunderstorm, a really strong thunderstorm. Most aircraft don't fly above it because they can, just barely get above it, or they get too close to the dangerous parts of the storm that are generating all the turbulence, things at higher altitudes in the atmosphere. In this case, we can fly high enough above the storm and use the radar to sample the cloud from a distance. So we don't endanger the pilot or the aircraft, but we still can do make some observations that otherwise could not be obtained by most other systems. So the radar will enable us to look at things like cloud particles, the characteristics of cloud particles, whether you have snowflakes or whether they're big plates or needles or different types of aggregates. So you get little ice crystals that stick together and they form big chains and things, so we can detect those types of characteristics of the radar. More importantly in this case is, especially when you are interested in things like turbulence, you can measure the winds in the storm. And so the radar can have Doppler capabilities, so it can measure the motion of the particles as they move to and from the radar when we take an observation. And so we'll be able to look at the dynamics in the storms, all the motions that ultimately lead to turbulence, or can lead to things like the exchange of water between the troposphere and the stratosphere. So generally in the atmosphere we live in the troposphere. Here where it's very moist, the stratosphere is very, very dry. Several orders of magnitude smaller concentrations of water vapor than we have in the troposphere. So all it takes is a little storm to go up and hit the tropopause, which is the boundary between the troposphere and the stratosphere, and inject a little bit of water in the stratosphere, and can have all kinds of impacts. It can change the chemistry in the stratosphere. It can lead to things like ozone destruction if there's enough water there. It can ultimately impact the radiation budget, so it can add to the warming that we get from trace gases like CO2 in the atmosphere. So when we talk about climate change, we typically talk about carbon dioxide, methane, all these greenhouse gases. Well, water is also a greenhouse gas, and it's very, very powerful greenhouse gas, and only takes a small push in the stratosphere from a storm or other impacts to ultimately have an effect on climate. So we're interested in all kinds of things happening at the tops of these storms, and we can sample that with the radar.